following is a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about them Cowboys? Yeah!
Go Cowboys!
Let's go, baby!
Are you ready for a break?
Yes.
Are you ready for a break?
Absolutely.
Ready for a break?
Yeah, and so much for that.
It's time for The Break on DallasCowboys.com
We were on the break!
with Ambar Garcia, Brian Broaddus, Nick Harris, and Derek Eagleton.
It is Friday, January 3rd, 2025, season 20, episode number 97. Welcome to the latest edition of The Break. We are live from the SWBC Mortgage Studios at the Star. We're presented by LG. LG is the world's #1 OLED TV brand for 11 years and counting. See why at lg.com/OLED Evo.
It would be the last show that I have issues with the chair again.
No, that's
As usual?
17 weeks.
How's that different?
Yeah,
than
it's once a
normal?
week. It's once a week at
Pretty
least.
normal. Yeah.
Proof of your fraternity colors, by the way.
I'm sure you do. That's something we have in
Like
common,
'em.
the
Love
colors.
'em. Love them.
Don't get yourself in trouble. Garcia.
Yeah,
Seriously.
You can't hit
Don't
me
get-
there.
Don't
trying
get
to do
yourself
the
in trouble.
Hey,
I'm just
hands
stretching.
down, hands.
Amber
stretching.
Garcia.
She trying to do the
Hands
hooks
down.
right now? That's
Don't go
She
there.
tests me all the time. One of
I've
these
seen,
days.
I've seen bad things happen to people that've done that.
You should Clarence Anui in here too and try it.
We run deep around
It's
here.
just a funny story. I don't know when it happened or what, but I hear all the time that Nick did that one time, and then you may or may
Nick
have
Eatman.
not
Nick Eatman.
allegedly punched the crap out of him.
No, it may or may not have been Nick Eatman. It may or may not have been Dave Hellman, but I don't know that to be fact. I've heard that same story.
So
People-
since then,
people
I
spread
like to
rumors
test the
sometimes.
waters when I stretch
all I
because
know
I
is
know there's no way you will hit a woman.
Very powerful
Absolutely
group
not.
at LSU, and I saw it happen one time, and I saw a guy laying on the ground after it happened, and I said, note to self, don't mess with those dudes.
We're nonviolent. Just for the record, we're nonviolent.
Not at LSU.
But don't test us. But don't test us. All right,
There's some athletes in that group at LSU.
let's have some conversation. Let's talk let's talk a little Cowboys football. Let's start first with some injury updates heading into this final game. There are a couple Cowboys players who did not practice. Keemon Hall, Nick Vigil, who hasn't practiced, I don't think since week 3 or something.
And then
I don't
has
know.
10 tackles when he starts.
But he's going to play, I would suspect.
Yeah.
But Micah Parsons popped up. Mozzie Smith popped up as limited. Are we hearing anything about maybe their availability for Sunday?
Honestly, no.
Okay.
Honestly, no. I don't have anything for you there, Derek.
Okay.
The one on Hall, because I know you did a nice piece that maybe that Hall would get a start and stuff like that, and I'm not getting a good feeling on that one.
Yeah, that one's tough.
Yeah.
I saw him yesterday.
A hamstring for Hall the corner is what we were talking about. Yeah.
I saw him yesterday, and I was like, "Hey, how you feeling?" He's like, "Good," and he kept walking. That's not
It
good.
reminds me of like Eric Kendricks. We do that with Eric Kendricks
Yeah.
every week.
Yeah.
How you feeling? Good. And then it's
Yeah.
30 minutes before the game, and it's like
Not good.
Not good.
Not
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
There's so many that I love that segment y'all do with him every week because you do have to read behind the way he answers questions, how much time he takes to think about it before he answers.
Oh, God.
You have to read into all of that to get a real solid picture of whatever it is he's talking about, right?
My man, he did a great job this
He's
year.
good.
He's really good, and he's interesting. But he kills you on radio because he will pause.
Yeah.
Like he will well, and then it's like dead air, and you're like going, "This is not good.
on.
It's not
It's
good.
not
You
good
gotta
radio."
Just smack your lips. Do something. Do something.
Let us know you're still there.
Yeah. Just don't dead air us. But he was actually, we've been very fortunate. It goes way back to Joe Looney and even Amari Cooper. You would never think.
Yeah, Amari was good on there.
Amari
He was.
Cooper and I got into a discussion at one time, and he was after me about whether the best college team could beat the worst pro team. And he was
Where did he fall?
He was there's no way. 'Cause
Okay,
I go,
yeah.
Maury, you played on some great Alabama teams. You go, I don't care. Those great Alabama teams and not beating the worst NFL team. I'm like, Amari, every one of your teammates gets drafted into the NFL.
It's already an NFL
It's
team.
already an NFL team. He goes, it doesn't matter. I mean, he was adamant about it. I mean, and he's like, man, that's the stupidest thing you've ever said. And I go, no, you don't know me that well. I've said a lot more stupider things than that. But no, we've been very fortunate. PR department stuff have always kind of suggested guys, to us, and it's worked out really. We got a lot out of Zach Martin.
Yeah, Zach was
and
good last
Zach's
year,
usually the very much the, how you doing, Zach? Good. He's one of those.
Yep.
But he told some really good stories, and so we've been really fortunate. It's just unfortunate too for Eric that the season didn't work out as well as it did. Or
Well, I
could've.
really hope he can be back here again.
He's a
and
good
the Cowboys
dude.
find him a deal.
He's a really
I
good
do, and
dude.
I think he's good for that locker room too.
Yeah.
He is,
I
yeah.
think it would be a good thing for them to have him back if they can get it at a good price.
Yeah.
All right, let's talk a little bit about some Washington injuries because I know Brian, you mentioned yesterday they really going to try to play this game.
They're going to try.
But they got Tyler Biadasz, Marshawn Lattimore, Cornelius Lucas, Tyler Owens, all did not practice. Obviously, Biadasz, a center that obviously was here with the Cowboys last year. Marshawn Lattimore may be their best cornerback as a guy that they picked up midseason. But do any of these names jump out at you as being most problematic for them if they can't play?
Yeah, I think so because of what's happened. What was Andrew Wiley? What was Andrew Wiley on that list?
He was
Limited.
Limited?
He was
Limited,
upgraded to limited yesterday.
Okay, well, then if he's limited, then maybe they're going to try and get him ready to play. But that's their right tackle.
Yep.
And so if he's not able to go, Lucas was the backup first off the bench against Atlanta.
And he did not
got
practice,
hurt.
yeah.
Yeah, something happened to him. And then it became Trent Scott. And it was kind of like watching, okay, Trent Scott's kind of our, 48th guy today. He's not really, we didn't expect Trent Scott to have to play, but he had to play. Be interested to see if, in fact, what happens at right tackle, because if Lucas can't go and Wiley's really limited, do they really want to push Wiley with a playoff game the following week? But they need, they might need this
want
game.
that win, yeah.
They want this win. Trent Scott, to me, would be a liability there for them at right tackle if that's the case. So please keep an eye on that one.
All right. Let's go ahead and dive in. Let's talk a little bit about this Washington defense. They are an interesting bunch because right now they are third in pass defense, but 28th in rush defense. When you dive into some of the numbers around their passing defense, they're fifth in blitz percentage, so they're blitzing a lot. They're also fourth in sack percentage. And all that being said, they really only generated one sack against the Cowboys and only two pressures. Two quarterback hits. That was Deron Payne who got the sack against Dallas. What did you see in that Dallas game that helped Dallas maybe negate what seems to be a strength for this team?
I will say I did see Frankie Louvu absolutely dominating that game, and I give credit to Brian while the game was going on. Like, hey, he told y'all about Frankie Louvu. This guy is awesome. But I think as the game went on, they just throwing. Hey, it worked out. It worked out in your case.
Every once in a while, you hit one,
It worked
right?
out in your case.
Bullseye.
But they relied on the run in that game, and it ended up working out for them in the end. But you look at most of that game, they couldn't generate points to save their life. And you look at the two late touchdowns that were off of a kick return. So that final score was 34-26, but the offense really at the end of the day was only able to put together 20 points, and that only accounts for a couple of touchdowns. Granted, they had a couple of missed field goals. I feel like they moved the ball down the field really well. They tired that defensive front down, and the long sustained drives really helped them in that game, getting down the field, because they were keeping that defense on the field for 8, 9, 10 play drives, but they just weren't able to execute at the end.
Can I quickly read my pregame notes for this one?
Yeah.
Real quick. Rush completed the second most passes, 24, against the Commanders all year.
Yep.
Cowboys' offensive line only allowed 6 pressures on 32 dropbacks. This tied for the fewest pressures the Commanders had allowed all season long. That Atlanta had only 6 pressures given up that game. The 7.9 yards per play were the 5th most the Commanders have allowed all season. The Commanders blitz rushed 9 times in the last meeting. This was the 5th fewest blitzes for them for the season. 63% of the Cowboys' routes were open, which is the highest percentage the Commanders have allowed all year. 25% of the Cowboys' routes were considered wide open. That's the 5th most for the season for them. So you could kind of see that they and my final one here real quick about too. Cowboys averaged almost 4 yards of target separation, which was the 3rd highest allowed by the Commanders all year. Dallas played their ass off in that game.
Yeah.
They really did offensively. Cooper Rush was really, really good. Man, if you look at him overall, the number of completions, the 24, that's the 2nd most they've given up in all their games this year. they've played some pretty decent quarterbacks as well. So this is the challenge. But CeeDee Lamb was a big part of what they were able to do. But they attacked on a couple of different levels. They went after Jeremy Chin, the safety. They got some matchups on him that proved beneficial as well. So the Commanders have got to kind of maybe come into this thing and rethink. Do we pressure Cooper Rush more? Do we blitz him more? They're going to blitz. They're going to blitz right about, I'd say 34% of the snaps is what the metrics will tell you. But it's pretty balanced across the board when they blitz. It's not just all like third down blitzes. They'll blitz on first down. They'll blitz on second down. They'll blitz. But Dallas has got to be ready for that. And there's a lot of single high. Half their defense is single high. If you had Dak and you had Ferguson, this is where we always talk about attacking the seams. And maybe this is where Dallas kind of looks at it too with Chin and then also Quan Martin. Quan Martin was really involved in the running game the last time you played. And that's what you're going to have to do in the running game. It's going to be about blocking Wagner and Luvu like my man Nick here says. I think that you have to worry about up front, though, for your pass rush stuff is Daron Payne. And they doubled him. He got doubled more when you watch it. He got doubled more than any of the other Commander defenders. I kind of feel like they're going to go into the same boat with him and see how that all kind of plays out. Him, Jonathan Allen, we'll see. They're really a good team inside. But they held Fowler in check. They held Armstrong in check. It's the Frankie Luvus and guys like that, Wagner's, that the ones that were running to make those plays in the running game, but also some of the pressures that they got. And they didn't get a whole lot of pressure with their front.
Yeah, let's take our first break. When we come back, I'm going to ask you guys the question: how much do you think the familiarity that Dallas has with Dan Quinn and his system, and even guys like Dorrance Armstrong and Dante Fowler, you just mentioned, how much do you think that affected that last game? As you mentioned some of those numbers, Brian, Cowboys offense having some of the best performance, having the best performance.
One of their better days
that
offensively.
Washington has allowed this year. But we'll talk about that when we come back. This is DallasCowboys.com radio.
Todd thought it would be secure to jog in the cheetah savanna. Todd believed the big cat repellent he bought online was reliable. And now, Todd is trying to be faster than this cheetah that can run 80 miles per hour. But the good news is, Todd has AT&T 5G that is fast, reliable, and secure. And he learned the best thing to do is stop running and toss her the backpack with the beef stew. AT&T 5G. Fast, reliable, secure.
5G requires compatible plan and device. 5G may not be available in your area. See att.com/5G for you for details.
It's the official men's skincare brand of the Dallas Cowboys, Jack Black. And right now, Cowboys fans can get 15% off their $75 order. Plus, because every deal needs a playmaker, your order will include a free 5-piece skincare set and free shipping. The Jack Black Playmaker is 4 of Jack's favorites and a full-sized intense therapy lip balm. Make a play for the Playmaker at getjackblack.com/Cowboys with the code CowboysVIP. That's getjackblack.com/Cowboys with the code CowboysVIP.
Don't put off getting your oil changed, Dallas. Take 5 Oil Change, a proud partner of the Cowboys, is faster than you think. They're so fast, you don't even have to get out of your car. You can take advantage of Take 5's stay-in-your-car 10-minute oil change at any of their locations across the Dallas area. And remember, at Take 5, you stay in your car because they're faster than you think. That means you won't even have time to show off your best touchdown celebration. Take 5, the official oil change of the Dallas Cowboys.
From the field to the festivities, Lucchese embodies the essence of luxury and tradition. Handcrafted with meticulous precision, each pair offers unmatched comfort and style. Stand tall while you're tailgating or cheering in the stands with the Dallas Cowboys collection by Lucchese. Shop the collection today at the Lucchese store at the Star in Frisco or online at lucchese.com. Lucchese, the official boot of the Dallas Cowboys and Dallas Cowboys cheerleaders.
How do you tell the world about all the great gifts in the Yeti store? Let her rip, Troy.
All right, folks, let's get started with the Yeti French Press. Enjoy coffee that stays hot for hours in a French press. 34 ounce for you, 6'4" for the cruise, the Yeti French Press. Up next, waterproof bags. Bags waterproof. Submersible waterproof doubles. Waterproof backpacks. World's mostly water, so get a waterproof Yeti bag. Do I smell something cooking? Oh, new cast iron skillets made to be passed down like Mama's recipes. Take a steak, cornbread, cobbler's pot pie, and potatoes, and next oval with 3 sizes of Yeti cast iron skillets.
Gear, gifts, and product experts. Visit the Yeti store on McKinney Street and at South Lake Town Square today.
Back to the break.
LG OLED Evo is the best TV in the game, but don't take our word for it. Digital Trends said that LG OLED G4 has the best picture quality they've ever seen. See it for yourself at lg.com/OLED Evo.
Welcome back. Second segment of the break live from SWBC Mortgage Studios at the Star. This segment brought to you by blockchain.com. All right, question for you guys. How much did the familiarity that Dallas has with Dan Quinn and guys like Dorrance Armstrong, Dante Fowler, how much do you think that affected the game the last time the Cowboys played the Commanders?
I'll say this, and I noticed this in probably the fourth quarter of that game. It was like, okay, we haven't seen Dante Fowler or Dorrance Armstrong really make a play in this game. And I don't know how much of that is them knowing. I don't think I have a great answer for your question there, Derek, but I think I think that's certainly notable whenever you look at that. I think we saw it more so on the other side of the ball when we talked about it yesterday with Mike Zimmer hunting matchups with Michael Parsons after Tyler Biadasz and him knowing that he could beat him. But defensively on the other side, I don't think I have a straight answer there for you, other than knowing that those guys really didn't make an impact in that game.
I think it's funny because I think Dallas had an understanding of what they wanted to do on or wanted to do against the Commanders' defense. Mm-hmm. I don't think the Commanders had a clue how to play Dallas's defense, because if you look at the way that Daniels, the rush, the pressures, I mean, he was like 1 of 9 throwing the ball, and the one pass that was complete was a touchdown. But he was 1 of 9 against pressure. And they didn't have a good handle on Micah Parsons playing 3 technique. And, you know, it's really, it was good on Dallas understanding Dan's defense, bad on the Commanders not understanding Dallas's defense.
Yeah. And could it also be, as a part of that, Brian, that the quarterback, as a young quarterback and inexperienced quarterback, he has not seen the kind of things that Mike Zimmer can throw at you.
Right.
And we've seen it with other young quarterbacks that have had to face this defense. It can be a little challenging because it's just a lot of different things that you have to adjust to and adapt to, and that's what makes it very tough.
Yeah, you know, all of a sudden you're like thinking Micah Parsons is going to come off the edge, and he's standing right there, like, you know, 3 feet from you, you know, against a guy that you, during the season, you're like, this guy's not going to be able to block Micah Parsons. Allegretti's not going to get, he's not going to get over there and get this. This could be a problem. And so, and then all of a sudden you get secondary blitzes. You know, you get Jordan Lewis and Wilson coming on a blitz. You know, like you're thinking, wait a minute, the nickel corner and the safeties both are coming on this blitz. Mm-hmm. So now that plays with your head a little bit. And I think Mike did a really good job of confusing Daniels and Cliff Kingsbury. I don't think Cliff Kingsbury adjusted very well to what they were doing either.
I will say, I think they hunted matchups. I'm going back through the numbers here. They hunted Noah Igbenogany quite a bit with CeeDee Lamb. Like it wasn't a lot of downfield action. The longest reception that CeeDee had in the game was 13 yards exactly. And
that's why Jordan Lewis is going to be there next year.
But CeeDee Lamb, please. But CeeDee Lamb had 10 receptions for 67 yards.
Well, and you know, and also too, go back and look at the numbers of what they did against Frankie Louvu and Wagner. I think they had 7 completions for 50-something yards against these guys. So they hunted a couple. You know, they were kind of checking it down underneath and stuff. When Louvu or Wagner weren't rushing, they kind of worked off that. You know, they gave up some completions. I think there was 8 attempts, 7 of them complete. You know, they were working off those linebackers too. So, you know, good for him doing that. And I mentioned Jeremy Chin and what he had to deal with, you know, with the 3 catches for 61 yards and a touchdown. So they were hunting some matchups in that secondary. And you're right about Noah. You know, they were.
Say it.
Igbenogany.
There we go.
Igbenogany.
That was close.
Igbenogany. Good job.
Igbenogany.
There you go.
That's it, right?
Yeah.
I can't wait till you get for this draft show. There are some crazy names.
There are some wild ones in this class.
Cooper Rush, Brian, you mentioned earlier some of the numbers. It was his best completion percentage in this game that he's had all season at 75%.
Better than the Bucs game?
Best. Yeah, he was better than the Bucs.
He was at 75% this game, right?
Yeah,
okay.
And but he was second best in quarterback rating. The Bucs game, he had a better quarterback rating at 117.6. Do you think that gets affected? Obviously, their offense isn't the same without CD.
Right.
But how much do you think it affects what they're able to do? Especially, again, in that game, they were hunting matchups. They were finding some opportunities. There were a lot of guys that got involved. How much do you think that gets set back by not having CD out there?
Yeah, it hurts. It really hurts. I mean, we saw it last week in Philadelphia. This offense, it runs through CD, and it took even more importance whenever Dak was out of the equation. You see Cooper on opening drives in games over the course of the season while he's been starting, finding CD, building confidence. That's how he gets going in a game. He didn't have that to build confidence in the first quarter. Granted, he was able to find some guys in that first quarter. Jalen Tolbert, off the top of my head, had a couple of them. Brandon Cooks had a big third down completion, and the run game helped on those first couple of drives too. But after that, you saw that the Cowboys don't have a receiving option that can just beat you over the course of a game.
But also, are we expecting Cooper Rush to play?
I am.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
I am. Yeah, I understand the Trey Lance potentiality, but I think with Cooper Rush's incentive, he's going to play. I just don't think that they're not going to.
You want to break some news?
I'm just asking. I mean, there was some questions he was asked about, whether Trey Lance or even Will Greer we're going to see sometime this weekend. So
didn't sound like he was committed to anybody right now.
Right.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. Like I suspect I would not be shocked if they all play.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be shocked if this is like a preseason game where you have everybody take a little bit of time and get some opportunities. Let me
as
ask
long
you
as
this,
the clock runs. I mean, don't stop the clock.
Exactly. Let me ask you guys this question. So for me, I want everybody to take a chance. Give me your best argument why Trey Lance should play in this game. Should be the predominant player at quarterback for this team this game.
See what you got. I mean, it's the
But
last.
why?
It's the last game you have him under contract. You need to make a decision on him in the offseason. I don't feel like they have enough to make a good decision. That's just me. Obviously, they know a lot more on that side of the building about what Trey Lance can do. There was a reason why he played almost every snap in the preseason. But for me, let's see what he has against NFL starting defense, what he can accomplish over the course of a game, and see what you could potentially be bringing back in 25.
I'm so confused because I listened to the owner, general manager, say the hay's in the barn on some decisions they've made around here. And that's talking about the coach. And, but if hay's in barn and coach is coming back, then by all means play Trey Lance. Cooper Rush gives you the best chance to win the game. He really, really does. So if there's still an indecision about the head coach, and Jerry wants to win this game, you'd play Cooper Rush. So I think that's where I'm at right now. I mean, if the general manager wants to win this game, then you need to play Cooper Rush. There's no reason to play Trey Lance. I'd love for them to play Trey Lance to shut us all up. That's really what I'd like to see.
Yeah.
Because we keep asking about him, and they're insistent that they're trying to win games, and I don't blame him. I've been in that situation. It's hard. It really is. I mean, I'm sitting here thinking about draft picks and talking about the draft and picking. There's a difference in this draft. I think picking 13th and picking 17th. There's a difference. Because right now I got 15 first-round grades. That's the lowest I've had probably in years. So I don't want to get out of that window of potentially grabbing a guy like a Banks, from Texas, the tackle, or somebody like that if I wait to 17, I'm not going to get him.
Yeah.
That those kind of things, that's the selfish side of me. But to them, I can understand trying to win. Picking at 17, they don't care. I care. They don't care. And I mean that in a nice way. I don't mean that they don't care. But they're trying to win games over there, and there's no reason to play Cooper. There's no reason for them to play Trey Lance. To them, there's not, because they're trying to win games.
I mean, I kind of want to see Will Greer. I've been after that, the way he left, when he left on the last preseason game, and it was so emotional. I'm like, he had such a good game. I would love to see, just for the fun of it, him playing and Dak calling the plays. But that's not going to happen.
The reason Kobe Bryant went out on the 60-point game. That's how I view it.
Okay,
I totally agree with Brian in this one. Like, yes, if you're trying to win this game, obviously the best answer, best choice would be Cooper Rush and have him out there. But it's just one of those things that, to me, if you play Trey Lance, what's the point at this point, Unless you're trying to give him a chance, maybe, hey, it gives him the opportunity to potentially put some plays out there for another team, or kind of do him a solid in that way. I don't know, because I don't know if they do have true intentions of bringing him back.
Yeah. I saw Desmond Howard make our team in Green Bay off one game. And you kind of, and I'm saying that in a way that maybe somebody looks at their team and they go out there and they do make they say, you know what, there's some qualities. They take the preseason and then maybe there's some positive things that happened in this regular season game that you saw, like, okay, this is what he looked like in the preseason. Now here's where he's at. And you could kind of say, wow, he's kind of developed a little bit this year.
Yeah.
So the selfish me would love to see him play. The personnel guy that's trying to win another game is thinking Cooper Rush needs to play.
I don't know how much this factors in, but his entire family is going to be in Dallas this weekend. His brother plays in a national championship on Monday in Frisco. So I don't know.
Where's he?
He's at North Dakota State. He's a wide receiver. And
I was going to say it's one of those Dakota schools because they are always in the championship.
Those folks at North Dakota State, I swear, they need to pay taxes. They're here somewhere.
Yeah, they do.
They're in that national championship regularly.
I don't know if I can say this specific fast food chain on air, but there's a fast food chain here in Frisco that they have helmets of like all the local high schools,
and they have
North Dakota State in there too. And I'm like, that's hilarious. Yeah. That is hilarious. They should.
It's a good business.
Go to the Omni next door. It's like a Green Bay Packer convention in there.
All right, let's. I had to add one other question before we go to our final break. Outside of Trey Lance,
did we answer your question? By the way,
yeah, we got to what we wanted to get to. But outside of Trey Lance, give me one other player that you think it's important for them to get an opportunity this weekend, and them playing well makes the biggest impact on their career.
I think it's the left tackle.
Yeah.
I think it's the left tackle.
I was thinking Awesome Richards.
I'm thinking Guyton.
Well, okay.
I'm thinking Guyton because right now there's so much, and Chuma Doga's playing far better than I ever believed he was going to play at tackle.
Yeah.
I think that Guyton needs some momentum going into the offseason. I think he needs to see himself, and then they need to sit down with him and say, listen, you're a very capable football player, but you have to do this, and this in order to have even more success. Okay, it's a tough year in a lot of ways, the penalties, the learning curve, all that. But I think he really needs some positivity going into the offseason where they could build on it, or a new staff could come in, and who knows, new staff comes in and watches their tape, and they're like going, well, heck, this guy's a capable player. And then they can kind of, instead of like, well, why didn't Guyton play? What was Guyton's problem all year? And now the personnel guys are, well, the previous staff, he was having penalties and all that. I think he needs some positivity going into the end of the season.
Wanye Thomas, I would like to see him get rotated in at safety. I feel like we've been clamoring for that for a while though. Awesome Richards, I would like to see what he's got on the offensive line, whether that be left tackle, right tackle, who knows. Let's see what he's got up front. Those are the two names that jump to mind immediately.
To me, and we've had this conversation on another show, it has to be one of the receivers. You make your pick, because all of them, I feel like you still need to show a lot more. And that's with the exception of Brandon Cooks. Honestly, I can't even wait, where is he at in his contract? This is it, right? Yeah. So I don't know, for some reason I don't see him coming back with the Cowboys or them making a deal with him. And we've talked about you needing a second wide receiver, a legit one. I think that gets addressed through the draft, but because of you seeing such a clear need there, one of these receivers has to step up. And the only one that I kind of take out of the mix, because I think because of the way he got here, Jonathan Mingo, I don't think he has so much to prove right this second. I would start his ticking time bomb right at it's just the same, Brian. Right at training camp.
Start his clock.
Yeah, thank you. Okay.
It could just be a clock. It doesn't have to be a
bomb. I just want to make sure you were...
The clock. Let's start the timer. Thank you. But I think with him...
There's some people we've already believe that we've seen the time bomb with that. Yeah.
But with him, I think I'm waiting to see him with Dak and not Cooper Rush. But anyways, these receivers, I think this is the last game for them to kind of really show something, especially with CD being out.
I'll say this about the receiving core. like you said, probably Brandon Cooks. There's probably not a reality where he's back next year. Jalen Tolbert to be back next year. Turpin, who knows? I think that's going to be a very interesting one as far as restricted free agency goes. If there's a guy that you want to see, for me, it's Jalen Cropper. I want to see what he can do in this offense. I know it's very measly and practice squad talk, but why not? Let's see what the guy has. He was awesome in training camp. He was awesome in the preseason. He only had one game of elevation this year. Let's see what he got. And then Dalvin Cook, would you elevate him?
No, I would not. I think we've seen what we need to see. I've seen what I needed to see. I think I'm good. You know what I will say, though? To your point about...
what a tough evaluation.
Yeah, that was quick.
To your point, those 10 plays, I think I've had enough.
I'm good.
Poor guy didn't even get a real chance.
To your point about Mingo, I actually would go into this game and I would say I'm going to him early and often.
I like what you did.
I would try very hard to get him involved because I want to see... if you really focus on him, because he won't be the focal point of the offense next year. There's no chance of that, right? Yeah. But if you go into this game and say he's going to be the focal point of our offense, we're going to make him the guy that we're going to try to concentrate on getting the ball to because he's a big body. He doesn't need a lot of separation, you wouldn't think, in order to be able to make catches and make plays. I would be trying to use him in a lot of different ways just to see what I got, because I do think that that's what he hasn't really had to this point. Like, really focus on getting him the ball. I'd love to see it. And another name I'll throw out for you, Deuce Vaughn.
Oh, yeah.
Deuce, this is very important, I think, because he's getting to that point in his career where he's going to have to start figuring out how to get active, how to get on the field, how to show them that he can be a role player for them in whatever that role is. And so I think if he gets an opportunity this weekend, it's going to be important for him to make some plays.
It's a fascinating conversation because there's going to be a point in the offseason where they're deciding on guys and they're going to be like, man, I wish we could go play a game right now. This is their opportunity to go play the game right now and see what they got.
You know, you've played some teams earlier in the season that are really, excuse me, not the earlier, but latter part of the season, really, that play with cushion. You know, and the Commanders are a team that plays with cushion. If you look at the metrics of how they play, third most in the league, 7 yards of cushion. It's okay. Does that play well for Mingo? Does that play well for Brooks? Does that play well for Tolbert? Maybe you could find a way to get some of these guys going like you were talking about. Just load, say, okay, we're going to load Mingo up and see if he can, we're going to give him 6 targets in the first half and see how many receptions we can get out of that and just kind of go from there. I like your plan.
But to be clear, I 100% agree with you as to what the coaching staff needs to go into that game with. And like a game plan where you involve him. But as far as like put that aside and the player individually, having them as an individual needing to have a successful game, that's where I take him out of the equation. Like even if he doesn't catch the ball or whatever, I still have that grace period for him still. But the other guys, they've had their time here now. And
but I think it is important. Here's why I think it's important, because I think that a really great game from him makes the Cowboys think, okay, a lot of these other guys may not be our answer. We still maybe need to go get a number 2, but this guy gives us some firepower. There's something we can do with him. I think it can be as important. Like, you just got to think about his career so far. He just really hasn't done much.
Had a good
I'm talking about even at his previous stop. He really hasn't done a lot for where he was drafted. And I think that's the part where,
second-round pick.
Yeah, you got to get him to a point where I also want to build a little confidence with him. Like, I want him to go into the offseason thing. Yes, exactly. But give him a lot of options. Give him a lot of opportunities. And then once you do that, if he shows you something, then he goes into the offseason saying, okay, I think this might be a place where I can grow. And now go spend some time with Dak in the Dak yard and start figuring out how to be a part of this offense. And I think he could be a legitimate guy that's in your top 3 wide receivers if he can show you something.
I get.
All right, we're going to take our final break. We've got a little Yeti time with Amber, but we'll do that when we come back. This is DallasCowboys.com radio.
If you can't be at the stadium, there's no better way to watch your Cowboys than on an LG OLED Evo TV. That's because everything you see is more lifelike. Every play, every hit. I mean, you might as well be on the sidelines. That's how clear it is. It's all thanks to LG's legendary technology. Perfect black, over 8.3 million self-lit pixels. No one comes close. LG OLED Evo is the best TV in the game for a reason. See for yourself at lg.com/OLED Evo.
They say champions are remembered, but legends are never forgotten. United Ag and Turf offers a winning lineup of John Deere equipment built to tackle any challenge on and off the field. Legendary John Deere tractors, combines, residential mowers, commercial mowers, compact construction equipment, Gator utility vehicles, and a full line of golf and sports turf equipment. United Ag and Turf, the official Ag and Turf equipment supplier of the Dallas Cowboys. Visit UnitedAgAndTurf.com to find a location near you.
If you shout, "How about them Cowboys?" you have that undeniable passion that's the heart of Cowboys Nation. And if you like to drink Dr. Pepper, you love the unique blend of its 23 flavors. Together, your one-of-a-kind fandom paired with the one-of-a-kind taste of a delicious ice-cold Dr. Pepper is the game day lineup that can't be beat. Better yet, gather your Cowboys and Dr. Pepper fan friends to watch the next game and crack open a delicious ice-cold Dr. Pepper for everyone. The wins will be even tastier. It's a pepper thing.
And we're going to overtime.
Erica, how much have I spent on concessions?
For questions about their money, Dallas Cowboys fans can turn to Erica, the virtual financial assistant in the Bank of America mobile banking app. Learn more at bankofamerica.com/Erica by your side. Bank of America, official bank of the Dallas Cowboys. Erica responses may vary. Digital tools featured require downloading the mobile banking app and may only be available on select mobile devices. Erica is a mobile feature only available in the English language. Your chat may be recorded and monitored for quality assurance. Message and data rates and additional terms may apply. Bank of America, N.A., member FDIC.
Todd thought it would be secure to jog in the cheetah savanna. Todd believed the big cat repellent he bought online was reliable. And now, Todd is trying to be faster than this cheetah that can run 80 miles per hour. But the good news is, Todd has AT&T 5G that is fast, reliable, and secure. And he learned the best thing to do is stop running and toss her the backpack with the beef stew. AT&T 5G. Fast, reliable, secure.
5G requires compatible plan and device. 5G may not be available in your area. See att.com/5G for you for details.
Back to the break.
AT&T connecting changes everything.
Welcome back. Final segment of the break, live from the SWBC Mortgage Studios at the Star, and it is Yeti time with AG. What you got?
All right, this segment is presented by Yeti. Officially licensed Yeti Cowboy gear is now available at Stadium Pro Shops, concession, and on Yeti.com. So we're going to continue what we did last time, which was kind of review the season as a whole, looking into this next year. And these are areas that I feel like it's easy to answer, but hey, it is what it is after you had such a bad year. But you can look at it however you want, whether you want to evaluate like the first half of the season and see the progress that they made for the second half, or if you want to mush it all up and just see it as a whole. First, let's start with red zone efficiency. How successful they were, and again, I feel like
offense
there
or
wasn't.
Defense?
Yeah.
Let's start with offense.
Okay. Zero efficiency.
I mean, they didn't get there very often.
No, and and a lot of it had to do, even with Dak, they had some problems.
Yeah.
They couldn't sequence plays. I think I said that the right way. It would seem like it would be an incomplete pass and then a run and then maybe a forced pass again. And then all of a sudden, Brandon Aubrey's got 75 field goals in a row. You know, it just never seemed like that they were able, you know, some teams have just got a knack for how to kind of get the running game in there, how to get like a crossing route, how to get a pick play in. Yeah, so everybody's got that kind of that quarterback run. It seemed like we were very much like he would look at the play sheet and every one that he would select was either like a negative play or one that just had no chance. I just never felt like there was any rhythm to their red zone offense.
I agree with that, and I think the reason why is because most of those teams you're mentioning that do that really well, they typically have a pretty good running game.
Yeah.
And early in the season, Dallas just didn't have it. And I think, quite frankly, and I've been pretty clear about where I thought the biggest problem was, it was the offensive line.
Yeah.
And I think when you got an offensive line problems, not only can you not run the ball, but you also tend to give up sacks. And how many times do we see them get in the red zone and then sack? You're back outside of the red zone, or you're having to settle for a field goal. And so I just think overall, I would say it wasn't as good as it needed to be, but I think it got better as the season went on. And I think you know what the problems are. The problems are around the offensive line and using your running game effectively. And I think that, well, I'm thinking they should know that. So going into the offseason, they should be prepared to improve that and can have some better success next year.
Yeah, you don't need me to tell you anything. 27th in the NFL in scoring touchdowns when they get in the red zone.
Yeah.
Unacceptable.
All right, flip it to the other
100%
side.
at kicking field goals.
Yeah, they are.
And
Flip it
Brandon
to
Aubrey goes to the
defense.
Pro Bowl.
Flip it to defense. Let's see what the numbers have
on
to
that?
say on that. Give me one moment, y'all.
I
fill
don't
this
think they were
radio.
very good.
I want to say I thought they were pretty bad. Yeah.
Initially, they were not very good.
Yeah. Well, all the points they gave up, they had to be giving up some in the red zone.
Wow.
30th?
32nd, and the margin between 32nd and 31st is very large. It's 7% points. I mean, it's they're last by a healthy margin. 73.5%.
I think I think a lot of that had to do with what happened the first 10 weeks of the season.
Yeah. I would be interested to know what that is like over the last 5-6 games.
Over the last 3, 32, 31, 30, 29, 27th in the NFL. Over
Okay,
the last
so it was
games.
better, but not great. Still bad.
Man, that's tough.
Wow.
That's tough. But yeah, I think most of the time, whenever I think the defense found themselves in the red zone, it was at the end of sustained drives. I mean, as most red zone drives are. But
wore down.
Yeah, exactly. But I can really only think of a few opportunities off the top of my head where the offense put them in the red zone. I think of the Cooper Rush fumble in Philadelphia. Goodness, I can't really think of a whole lot more turnovers that were inside their own 20, unless I just can't think of anything off the top of my head.
Okay, now third down conversions. This is something we've talked about all year, all season long for the Cowboys. Let's start with offense. Did you see how do you rate the third down conversions, and also how do you feel about certain improvement in the last month?
I think they've gotten better in the last month. Early, it felt like that we were just like it would be like 3rd and 1, and you're just like, God, they're not going to get this.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, you just it goes back to what Derek's talking about: the offensive line, the lack of running game, the rhythm of the play caller. It just didn't seem their offense had no flow to it, and so it would be like if they would convert on 3rd and short. It was like like they needed 1 and they got 1.5. It wasn't like they popped a run or threw a pass or something like that. I think they were searching for their third down offense, and they initially with CD, it was him throwing him the ball, but they didn't get it from Ferguson, who they normally get it from, some of the other receivers, and then I mentioned the running game just wasn't good enough. So I think initially it's bad, but I think it's gotten a little bit better. With Cooks back in the lineup, CD was doing some good things, and then Dowdle's ability to run the football got better too.
This offense was 2nd in the NFL last season in third down conversion percentage. This year, 25th. They only converted on their third downs 36% of the time. That's another unacceptable note.
Yeah, that's really bad.
Yeah. It doesn't matter who's in the offense.
Huge drop off.
Huge. It doesn't matter who's in the lineup, who's at quarterback, who's doing the pregame show on 105 through the fan. It doesn't matter. It's unacceptable.
Well, we know where the problems originate. Again, I think this goes hand in hand, Brian. We just it's offensive line, running game. If you don't have those two things worked out in the NFL, you're gonna have a hard time in a lot of these other parts of the game.
Didn't it seem like just to get when it got to third down, it was just always a struggle?
Yeah.
Like you're just like, God, they're not going to pick this up. You just knew something was going to mess up. Yeah. They were going to get a false start penalty or something was going to happen that they weren't going to be able to get it.
Well, I know we're running out of time, so let's just quickly do the opposite side of the ball. How do you feel in third down conversions and what the defense did?
It seemed like early again that teams were just having the way. Matter of fact, there were times where they weren't even getting a third down. It was like they were.
Yeah.
It was first down, convert. Second down, convert. Teams were having it where they were averaging 6-7 yards.
Definitely early
shot,
in the year, yeah.
And you weren't even getting a third down.
Yeah.
So initially bad. I think they've done a much better job because they've come up with pressures with Parsons. Golston's gotten better. You've seen stuff with Lawson. I think the defense, the secondary, has gotten a little bit better when it came. You got Bland back. I think that helped. The linebackers. I think that second half has been much better than what you saw because they couldn't do anything in the first half of the season.
Yeah, I agree with that.
My last little guessing moment for you guys. Do you want to guess where this defense ranked in opponent third down conversion percentage in
For the season?
For the season, yeah.
I would guess they are at about 27.
25.
33.
Y'all are gonna be shocked. 6th.
What? Were they
is-
ranked? Oh, I thought you meant the percentage. That's why I said 33.
36.
They were that good?
6th. Yeah. I thought it was a joke.
Well, maybe it's because of what Brian was saying.
Like the UFL champions.
Maybe
were
it's
better
because
than-
they were rarely getting them. Teams were rarely getting to third
Teams
down.
were rarely getting to third down, but also I when they were getting into third down, I would love to see their average third down yardage marker, because typically when they were getting into third down, it was by way of pressure or sack. This defense did find themselves behind the sticks in a good way multiple times this season. That is a noticeable factor, and it did feel like even though the offense was not as great throughout the year, that they were still right there neck and neck every week as far as third downs with the other team competing against them.
That's impressive.
Yeah.
And would still give up
one of the
35,
few
40
stats
points.
But am I
that
wrong
improved.
about, did it seem like that they were every time?
No,
it
yes.
It was 1st and 10, and they would get a gain of 9.
Yeah, but that's also the thing. If they're putting up 30-something points, 40 points, whatever, then they're not going to be getting on third down a lot. You wouldn't think.
They got punished at the very end on stats. They were digging a hole, and they couldn't get out.
Yeah.
They could not get out, even though they played better at the end.
All right. Well, here's real quick before we end the show. Tell me what the Cowboys have to do in order to get a win this weekend. What's the most important thing they got to do? Let's go around the table. Nick, you first.
Oh, show up. Because I don't feel like they showed up in Philadelphia. I really don't. I feel like the preparation going into that game was not great.
So you think it was preparation? It wasn't just all the people that they've lost that just kind of came to
I think it was mentioned on
bear.
the show. I forget. But you wonder how much their preparation leading into that game was affected by, okay, hey, we're not in the playoffs. Christmas is this week. We can go ahead and start planning our offseason. Philadelphia's already in the playoffs. And
CD's now gone.
CD's gone, exactly. So if they prepared accordingly this week and they let all this coaching stuff just kind of go in one ear and out the other, and they actually prepare for this game, then I think there's a shot.
Control this Washington front, and they did a good job last time they met, and so
their defensive front.
Yeah, if Dallas's offensive line played well, they pass protected well, they ran the ball well enough, though, do the same blueprint would be good for me.
I think what gives them the best chance is just win the turnover battle. Don't give up the ball. Protect the ball. And then on the flip side, obviously defense, I think they can actually in this game create some turnovers and just have the offense be able to take advantage of that and score some points. But are we picking? Nah. You're like, whatever.
Go ahead and pick, Amber. What do
Pick
you
the
want?
coach.
Wow.
Cool.
You want to make a pick?
No,
We'll see you next
no.
year.
If y'all aren't, I'm not. Whatever.
All right. We appreciate you guys joining us. We will be back.
Commanders.
We will be back next Wednesday.
Yay, draft.
We'll get into our off-season schedule next week. Make sure you check the mobile app for that full schedule. But we'll be on Wednesday at 11 a.m. Central Time. Till then, for Nick Harris, Brian Broaddus, Amber Garcia, I'm Derek Eagleton. This has been The Break, live on DallasCowboys.com radio.
This has been a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about this, Cowboys? Yeah!